Cyrus Torrence never gave up a sack throughout his college career, including last year where he never even had a penalty. So it's not like Torrence was taking a penalty so he wouldn't get a sack. He had no penalties and no sacks last year. Absolutely incredible. When you talk about his weaknesses, potentially being a little bit flat-footed, not being fast to the perimeter, Torrence specifically stated he can play all three positions. He can play any guard spot as well as center, and that's a spot that the Buffalo Bills should definitely consider with Mitch Morse getting up in age, as well as a fat contract that the Buffalo Bills might be better suited allocating money elsewhere. Torrence is a great pick for the Bills, as well as Dorian Williams. Right, the Buffalo Bills select best player available, and both in 3 times here in this year's NFL Draft. Well, welcome to my channel here, Bills News Consolidated. Buffalo Bills get the cream of the crop, the best tight end in this year's draft class, as well as the best guard in this year's draft class. Absolutely huge by Brandon Beane. Bills are selecting best player available and still taking a statistic approach. We discussed it, right? Dalton Kincaid having such a great statistics coming out of college, right? Having the best stats coming out of college, out of all the tight ends coming out this year, which is a great deep class, as well as Cyrus Torrence having the best stats coming out of college, not allowing a sack, no penalties last year, as well as being number 1 at this year's NFL Combine, coming out of that with the highest grade, 23 on the bench, a good 40 time, a good 3-cone drill. Torrence proves that he does have a little bit of burst coming out of his stance, coming out of that first step. You know, maybe running is a little bit slower, but I think that's something the Bills could really work with going forward. He's a cornerstone on this offense. Like, he's just a big mauling type in the very front of this offense that the Buffalo Bills can match and mismatch around on a weekly basis. You know, if we see a guy that Torrence can just blow off the line of scrimmage on a weekly basis, maybe we decide and scheme up some running plays with that. I really like his size, 6'5", 330 pounds, and again, can play the center position to Mitch Morse. Going back to our first round pick, Dalton Kincaid, I really like the philosophy here, and I mentioned it. He's everything that Dawson Knox isn't, right? Dawson Knox is a little bit heavier. He's more of a rumbling, tumbling, blocking tight end, whereas Dalton Kincaid is definitely not a blocking type. He's more of a receiving type. We can put him out wide, and another mismatch piece for Ken Dorsey to mix in there under a great tight end coach, probably the best tight end coach, Rob Boras, in the NFL that we have on staff here, getting this kid up to speed. Quentin Morris, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid. I really like that. I think it's a better group than last year with Tommy Sweeney. The Buffalo Bills bring in a linebacker, maybe not the linebacker that we were all eyeing up, like Jack Campbell, Trenton Simpson, Drew Sanders, but we bring in another guy who ran a 4.49 40. He's twitchier, he's faster, kind of looks like Tremaine Edmonds. He's much smaller than Tremaine Edmonds, but he fits the recipe to win for the Buffalo Bills. Now, he does play Matt Milano's position. He's not known to be a middle linebacker, and I really think we definitely missed out on Jack Campbell, which is a huge disappointment. The Lions took him super early. But Dorian Williams fits the DNA and what we're trying to do here. We are trying to get faster at that linebacker spot. We're trying to get better in pass coverage at that linebacker spot. Knowing Josh Allen runs up the score, right? We have Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and all these weapons. Really think it makes sense to get more of a linebacker that's better in pass coverage. You consider Bobby Babich, our safety coach, converted to a linebacker coach to help guys like Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds last year get better in their pass coverage ability. So it makes sense bringing these guys in there. So it really opens the door for a bigger discussion as to who is going to be the starting middle linebacker for the Buffalo Bills. We got A.J. Klein, Terrell Bernard, Balin Spector, Tyrell Dotson, right? Who is going to rise to that occasion for the Buffalo Bills? But I think it's very important to understand the Buffalo Bills potentially got the best tight end in this year's draft class for the Buffalo Bills passing attack with Dalton Kincaid. You know, doing everything that Dawson Knox cannot do, just presents other elements and other facets for this offense to open things up. And I really think more targets for Josh Allen, the less Josh Allen has to do himself. Dorian Williams is getting a little flack for his size, right? Maybe not that big of a linebacker for that middle linebacker spot, especially when you compare him to a guy like Tremaine Edmonds. But again, I really think he's young. He could still add mass to his frame, Dorian Williams, over time. His height is definitely a little bit of a concern, but when you couple his coverage skills, he definitely reminds me more like a safety, right, as a linebacker. A 4.9 40 time is 4.49 40 time is absolutely excellent. Trenton Simpson, a 4.43 40 time. So, they're around the same athletic level. And then you have to couple the instincts, the understanding of the game, right? All these things. Maybe Dorian Williams will ultimately be a faster, better prospect like Trenton Simpson. It's going to be really interesting to see the next few rounds here. The Bills do not have a pick in the 4th round, but other position groups that we need, I think, is defensive tackle. The Bills have all these guys under these 1-year contracts, including, we got guys like Tyrell Dotson, Tyler Matakevich. That's the other thing with Dorian Williams is, Dorian Williams could end up replacing these special teamers, even A.J. Klein. We got A.J. Klein, Tyler Matakevich, Tyrell Dotson on these 1-year deals. If Dorian Williams can come in here, prove himself, we can get rid of all those players, save a little bit more money. Just like Osiris Torrance could maybe be the long-term answer to Mitch Morris, and then we could save the money with Osiris Torrance. I really, really am liking that. Dalton Kincaid, I don't think is going to really take away from Dawson Knox because you still have to have 2 tight ends. Even Quentin Morris last year, 26% snap count for Bills Mafia, 6'2" tight end, right? Dalton Kincaid might not be the biggest measurables coming out of the draft, but he's got better measurables than Quentin Morris, who had that 26% snap count last year. So we're getting bigger at the tight end position. We're potentially getting a better route runner, a bigger, better target that has bigger catch radius, better with his hands. Dalton Kincaid is an upgrade. He made our tight end group better from last year. Osiris Torrance and the other signings that we have here, it's absolutely huge, right? Edwards, Butker, and McGovern, right? We have some depth on this offensive line. And knowing that Osiris Torrance can play center with Greg Mance and Mitch Morris, we have some depth. We got some depth, and we got a great competition heading into the 2023 NFL season. I anticipate Josh Allen is definitely going to be protected. Osiris Torrance not giving up a sack or a penalty. That is just freaking huge. I can't wait to see what happens there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to hopefully be going live during the next couple of rounds here on YouTube. Make sure you guys like, subscribe for future content. Oh, baby, Brandon Bean, you did it again, baby. Unreal. I'm hyped up for this season. Go Bills.